All right, hey guys, Jason here, Samco Workshop. Today I'm going to show you what you got to do in order to fit a bigger, a 32.5, almost technically a 33-inch tire on your 4Runner without doing a lift. And that's what we did here. We put these on here. We put them on here the day we bought it. These are the TRD off-road wheels that you can get. They're original stock. They're not a knockoff. They're the actual TRD wheels. And then we have the Wild Peak. These are a 275/70/17, I believe. Yes, right there, 275/70/17. But when I put them on, again, we are talking about an LT tire, still C-rated, but LT tire, 18 tread depth. We're talking about, actually I wrote down the specs of what they were for this video from Falcon's website. They are a 32.4 by 11.1. They are 57 pounds per tire. And they're one of the biggest you can get. Falcon Wild Peaks are always big tires, okay, for size. Give you an example, like if you were to buy a, if you bought a BF Goodrich, it would be shorter than these and the same size. If you bought a BF Goodrich 275/70/17, it will actually be shorter in height and it will be more rounded here, so you don't have this very square, hard shoulder that you see. They would round in tighter. They would chamfer this corner and not be so aggressive on here. So there's trade-offs to all different tire sizes, so you got to know for sure what you're getting into. But for these, which is one of the biggest, so if you go with a BF Goodrich, you'll probably have less of this to do than I did. But we had to do a little bit of very easy couple-minute modifications to get these to fit. Now, as you see right here, they fit perfectly. There's no issues there whatsoever. But when I turned them, okay, when I would have these wheels turned, then what we would do is we would actually get, as a matter of fact, I'll pull it out on the pavement and show it to you. Let me do that real quick because I don't want to turn them on these rocks and start digging holes in my driveway. So hold on, let me do that. All right, so here we are with it in full lock position. So as you can see, obviously in the back, when you're like this, there's no issues here whatsoever. In the front, when we're looking at the front, you can see that it gets a little tighter in here, and I created this clearance. Now, there's still plenty of clearance. I get my whole hand through there, okay? So it's not too bad, but we did have to do a little bit of modification to that to make that work, which we will show you. The other thing you want to be concerned with is your shock mount plate here. You want to make sure you're going to clear here, which we do. We got plenty of room there. So these are always considerations that you got to take into, as well as any suspension stuff back here that might be an issue. So you always got to watch that kind of stuff. This was the only place we had to do any modification, and slightly back here. Now, if we look at this on here, this is just a mud flap. Okay, this is a whole big bulky mud flap section. I don't know why it sticks out so far and does all this, but I heated this with a heat gun right there. I heated that with a heat gun up, heated it up, and pushed it in. You know, because you can see there's a lot of room between there and the fender, or the cab mount back there. So it was pretty easy to heat that up. Technically, you could have removed these, but I like them on. They protect everything, so I left them on. So I did heat that up. Not a big deal. Now, if we look at this side, you can see it. You can see how close we are to that. Okay, it's close, but again, and I did not push this one in. I did not heat that one too much, but you can see I got a lot of room behind there if you wanted to take off that mud flap or just heat that up with a heat gun and push it in. A little rubbing occasionally on that once in a great while. Only when I'm like going over a curb or something, I don't care. A little rent for a second, that's all it gets. But I want the mud flaps on. If that's going to drive you nuts, either heat that more and lock that back with a heat gun to reshape it, or remove them. But for me, I like the mud flaps for the protection factor, so I left them. And then here, we did the same kind of modification. So how do we do this modification to get this clearance? Let's show you back on this side. So what we needed to do was needed to push this liner forward, this fender liner forward, okay? Well, there is one screw right here that I had to modify, or I had to do. So I took this screw out, and then what I did is I took this fender liner and I pushed it. See how it pushes? I could go a lot farther if I needed to. See all that flex in that? Well, I pushed that fender liner forward, and then I re-screwed that screw in. It's a self-tapping screw, so it kind of makes its own hole. So I just re-screwed it in. All I did was push that fender liner forward, re-screw that in, and that was good. But then this came out about like here, okay? It kind of comes out a lot farther. You can see where I took the cut. You can see where that comes out. I just took a razor knife and I just took a few slices off of that, off this plastic here, and cut it so that it looked good, but it still cleared and gave me all that clearance. That's all I had to do to this to make that work, to get these tires on there. So now we have those tires on there. We did not have to do any lift. We did not have to do any modifications other than that. It gives it the look and the ruggedness, and we have a, technically, if these were a 1/4 inch taller, you know, they're at 2 point, what are they? What did I say they were? I said they were. I thought I had it there, whatever I told you in the beginning. Where'd I put that sheet? These are 32.4. If they were 32.6, they would be considered a 33-inch tire, okay? So they're almost a 33, where, I mean, they're one of the biggest 32s you can get. So it's, like I said, almost technically a 33-inch tire. 32.6 are considered 33s. So we get this huge tire on here, and we had to do absolutely nothing. No lift, no mods, no anything other than push that fender liner forward. And again, you can see it right here. Just trim that with a razor knife. Didn't have to heat it, sand it, didn't have to do nothing. Just take a razor knife and just take a couple of slices off that. It's just thin plastic. And that's how we were able to get these big, these 275/70/17s, which they call a 32 by 11, but again, don't let it fool you, because they are bigger than a 32 by 11. They are 32.4 by 11.1, where all other 32s are going to be shorter than these are, and they are going to be more rounded side. If this side was chamfered more and rounded, okay, if this was not so squared off like it is on a Falcon and it was more BFG rounded, then we probably wouldn't even hit here because this would already be chamfered off. So like I said, there are considerations to take into this, but like I said, the only thing I get out of this problem-wise is once in a while when I go up a steep curb, I'll get a little rent right on that, but that is only the mud flap, and I honestly just don't care, so I leave it. I don't care enough that I don't even heat it anymore or mess with it. I just left it because it's not a big deal. So very rare anything, you know, there's no issues there. The back obviously has zero issues. No concerns whatsoever, but you know, and you rarely ever do because the back is basically fixed. Now when we flex, this thing still has no problems. Okay, same thing here. I tested that, okay, when I lived in Michigan, and we put these on here. We took this thing, we drove it up on top of a stump. We did, you know, the wheel, each wheel on a stump to make sure there is no issues of rubbing anywhere else. There's no nothing. That is my only little bit, and again, it's mud flap. You can see I can push it all the way back like that without a problem, but I like the mud flaps on, so I leave it. So basically, that's what it's going to take you to put this huge, almost 33-inch tire. Like I said, it's so close to a 33 that it might as well even be a 33 to get these to fit on there without any problems. And I'll spin this wheel once for you to show you here, but you can see where on this side, I heated that up and pushed that in with a heat gun. So this side's done. And on the other side, I just said, forget it. I just didn't even care, like I said, because it's only going up a curb, like if I turn into a steep parking lot or something. So hold on, let me turn the wheels the other way for you. All right, now it's full lock the other way, and you can see we got a lot more clearance here because I used that heat gun and heated that section up and pushed it in. So there's a lot more clearance on this side than there is on that other side because we did that. You know, I just got lazy and just haven't done it. But you can see down here now, when you look at that, that bump is what I would need to heat up and push in, but it happens so rare. You can see, I mean, this thing's got 30,000 miles on it, and you can see that only once in a great while it'll touch right there. Nothing that I'm even remotely concerned about, and that is all mud flap. That is all this stupid mud flap. Why they make it go all the way back here. Look at how much wiggle is in this thing. I don't understand what Toyota was thinking by making this mud flap like it is, but that's the only thing that you ever hear a speck of noise out of. So like I said, no big deal, and they work like a champ. Plenty of clearance in the front. Like I said, I can run my whole hand through there, so there's no issues there. But that's the only mods you got to do. Only changes to make. Push this fender liner back by removing that one screw right here. Push it back, re-screw it in, which you're making a new hole in this. You're not making a new hole in the fender or in a bumper here, you're making a new hole in this liner. So you're going to unscrew that, push this in like that. You can see it wiggles. Push it in, put the screw back in, then take yourself a razor knife, razor blade, carpenter knife, and just peel a couple of strips off of this until you get the clearance that you're looking for. And that easy. Simple, sweet, and easy. And that's how you get them on there. So there you go. Simple little video, but many people wonder. They ask questions on this all the time whenever I do videos on it. Do they rub? Do they rub? Do they rub? No, they don't rub. And they don't rub because I fixed it. But the fix was such a simple, quick I mean, I don't think I got 10 minutes into making them where they didn't rub. And when they rubbed before, it was just on those little couple pieces of plastic. Now, zero rub on it whatsoever. Been that way for 30,000 miles, and they work absolutely perfect. So, and you get that aggressive look I want, and I get the tire capability. I get that increased height. I get that increased everything. So I get all the benefit out of it. So, little tip for you. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed it.